स्वाध्याय टीवी। डॉक्टर बाबा साहेब आंबेडकर ओपन यूनिवर्सिटी।
Namaste dear students, I Dr. Himanshu Patel welcome you from the Chaitanya studio of Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar Open University. We are in lecture series on Java programming. In last session we have discussed about array. We have seen how to declare and initialize single dimensional array as well as multi-dimensional array. In today's session we will discuss about one major or core component of Java programming, which is class and method. So, let us start. As discussed earlier, a class is a template for an object. Now, we can say a fruit is a class and mango, banana, apple, pineapple, etc. are example of fruits. So, we can say a class is a generic name given to different types of similar objects, while object is an instance of class. For example, fruit has a different property like aroma, shape, size, color, taste, etc. So, all these common properties or common attributes are defined inside class, and whenever we create object from these class, it is known as a instance of that class or an object. So, class is a template and object is instance of class. Now, on screen you can see the general form of a class. Any class has a name. So, class definition starts with keyword class and then class name, and inside curly braces we define body of class. Now, each class consists of two things. One is called instance variable and another is called method of the class. Now, each instance variable has a different type and name. So, type indicates the type of instance variable. So, we can have one instance variable of one type and another instance variable of another type. So, you can define any number of instance variable inside class, and then we define method of class. Now, we will discuss structure of method shortly, but every method has a name, return type and optional, which is a parameter list, and all method has a body which is represented with between curly braces, and in one class we can have n number of methods. So, this is a general form of class, but now we take one example so that you can better understand how to define a class. Let us take example of class person. So, in person we can have ID which represent ID of person. Every person has a age and name also. So, ID is of type long, integer represents age and name is a string. So, these class has a three instance variable name, ID, age and name. Now, inside these class we do not define any method, but we can have method for reading these data as well as another method for showing these data. Now, once this class with instance variable and method is defined, you can create object of its type. So, to declare and create person object called XYZ, first we declare person type object person XYZ. Suppose integer age represent integer. So, here XYZ represent person. Now, initially XYZ has no reference or no address, but whenever you allocate memory for xyz, you have to use new operator. So, next we write down xyz is equal to new and then person. So, a memory is allocated for xyz and assigned to xyz. So, next time you refer to xyz, you can access its data if it is a public. Once object is created, how memory is allocated is represented on screen. So, here when you write down person xyz, xyz has no reference. So, it is assigned to null, but when you write down xyz is equal to new person, which is shown in oval, a memory is allocated for xyz and same value is assigned to xyz. Now, when I create person class object, it has 3 instance variable. So, it allocates memory for id, age and name depending on its type, and its address is stored inside xyz. So, you can access these member as xyz.id, xyz.age and xyz.name. So, this is how object is declared and created. Remember, to actually create object, we have to use new operator, then and then only memory is allocated. So, whenever you create object, new and class name is a must for actually creating object. The next is a object reference variable. For example, if I declare xyz as a person object and then in second line I write down person abc is equal to xyz. Now, what will happen in case of ordinary variable, that value separate memory is allocated for xyz and abc and the value of xyz is stored inside abc, but this is not the case with objects. As shown in screen, since xyz is already created and it is assigned to xyz, when you write down abc is equal to xyz, it will not create separate copy of these object, but it will only points to the object where xyz is pointing. So, either xyz or abc is a same thing whenever I write down abc is equal to xyz. So, you might be surprised to know that xyz and abc will both refer to same object and there are no different object like ordinary variable. Now, we discuss method in detail. So, every method has a name. So, name represent, which is shown here in green color, represents the name of method. The type represent the value returned by method and it may be ordinary data type or it may be object also, and method may require some data to operate on. So, these parameter list, which is optional, represents data required by method to process, and inside curly braces we define body of method. Suppose method is not returning anything, then type is defined as a void and this return value statement is optional. But suppose type is other than void, then we must write down this return and value to be returned inside method at the end of method body. So, this return value is optional in case of method is returning nothing. For example, if I want to find factorial of number, then my return type is a factorial of given number. So, I can assign long to type, which is a return type for method. My name may be factorial and parameter it takes may be integer of which we want to find factorial. So, these method has a 3 important component: return type, method name and parameter list. Return type may be void or any type including object, and parameters are optional and we can have any number of parameters, and each parameter is specified by type and parameter name, and if method has more than one parameters, they are separated by comma. And for method with return type void, we need not to write down return statement, it will automatically return when method body finish, and in case of return type other than void, we must write down return and value to be returned inside method. Now, we discuss constructor. Constructor are special method whose name is same as that of class. Now, ordinary method has a name other than class name, but this is a special method which has a name which is same as a class. Another thing you have to remember is it must be public and it does not have any return type including void. You cannot even write down void before constructor. So, remember it is a public method with no return type, or you cannot write down return type for constructor, then it must be public, and it is automatically called whenever object of class is created. So, you write down new and class name, at that time it is automatically called whenever object is created, and job of constructor is to initialize data of class. And remember, we can have multiple constructor in a class. For example, my class has a 3 instance variable, I can initialize all 3 in a single constructor, or I can initialize 1, 2 or 3 depending on my requirement. So, we can have multiple constructor also. Now, we take one example so that you can understand better. Now, here we have class with name time, and it has a 3 instance variable which represent h represent hour, m represent minutes and s represent second. And here I write down one constructor with no argument, which is also known as a default constructor. So, public is the modifier for these constructor, and time represent this class name. So, we can say it is a constructor, and it does not take any argument, and it initialize all 3 instance variable to 0. So, whenever I write down time t1 is equal to new time and it has no parameter, this constructor is automatically called, and t1's h, m and s are initialized to 0. Now, we write down another constructor to initialize all 3 variable to different values specified by user. So, here this time is a class name. So, it represent constructor, it is a public and it takes 3 argument HH, MM and SS of type integer, which match with our instance variable type, and it initialize H to first argument, M to second argument and S to third argument. So, I can write down time T2 is equal to new time, and to here instead of colon we have to use comma. So, that is the mistake. So, I can write down 2 comma 30 comma 0. So, it will initialize hour to 2, minutes to 30 and second to 0. So, this is how we can define constructor. So, we will use this constructor in writing program, but it is a very important because you can initialize data of object at the time of creation itself, and you need not to explicitly call this constructor, it is automatically called whenever you create instance of class or object. We take one example. So, here we define a class which is a same as earlier, but here we add 2 things. One is a method which represent void get data. So, this get data method is used to read ID, age and name from user, and another method we define is void print data, which is actually used to print these 3 value. Now, how to call these method? So, if person object is a p, then we can say p dot get data will call its this method and p dot print data will call this method. Now, we write down these program so that you can better understand how this method works. Now, another class we are going to write down is method demo, and it simply defines different method. So, this first method has a return type void, its name is greetings and it prints message provided as a argument. So, this is a example of method which takes parameter, but it does not return any value. Another method is long factorial and parameter is integer n. So, this method will take integer value n from user and return its factorial as a long value. So, this is a method which takes argument as well as return some value. The next method demonstrate that we can have multiple argument also. So, here we take two argument or two parameters n1 and n2, find maximum of these two value and return it as a double value, and our method name is max. The next method demonstrate that we can have array as a method argument also. So, here integer array is a argument and sum of all element is returned by this method and return type is integer. You can have long also, but if your it depends on your data, whether your data is a very large. So, some may be outside the range of integers. So, at that time you can also take long as a return type. And last method we will write down is a add method which actually adds two time, but this time T1 is a object and T2 is a object of type class time. So, these last method demonstrate that we can have object as argument as well as we can return the object also. So, we will write down these method inside NetBeans. So, we are going to write down three class. One class is a person class, another class is a time class and last class is a method demo, and inside method demo we will define all these methods. And we have one more class which is a used to test all these classes. So, we write down four class: person class, time class, method demo class and test these method. So, test class is there. So, let us start writing these program inside NetBeans. Here I define a public class person. Now, remember that if your class is a public, your file name should match with class name. So, here public class is person. So, my file name is a person.java. If your class is not public, then it should not be same, it may be different also. So, as defined earlier, discussed earlier, we have three instance variable id, age and name, and we have one method which just read these three values. So, its name is a get data. Now, to actually read data from system, I define one scanner class object and its source is a keyboard. Then I ask user to enter id and it is a read as a next long, since the type of id is a long. Once id is a read, we ask user to enter age and it is stored inside age by method next integer of scanner class, and finally, we read name of person from user and it is a read using next method, because next method returns string. So, I hope you can understand this get data method which actually reads data from user. Now, inside show data, I just want to display this value. So, here these three system.out.println represent heading which displays personal information. Next three line represents a value of ID, age and name that we display as usual, and for formatting we add line at the end. Now, how to test these class? So, this class is public, so it can be called inside this test class. So, here I comment out these portion, and now this test class has a main method. So, inside public static void main we define one person object P. We actually allocate memory for P by writing new person, and then we call its get data method by writing P dot get data. If my object name is X, then I write down X dot get data, and once this data is read, I want to display those data. So, I call P dot show data. So, let us first test this person class. So, right click on it and select run file. So, it is asking for ID, then age and then name. So, get data will ask for ID, age and name, and show data will print this information. So, this is how this person.java file works. Now, next we want to write down method demo. So, inside method demo, first I define this method which takes string argument or parameter message and it returns nothing. Now, inside this greeting method, I just display this message passed by user for display purpose. So, need not to return anything. So, I simply write down system.out.println and whatever message we want to display. So, whenever I call this greeting method using method demo object, I need to pass one string argument and it displays that message only. The next method is a factorial method, and it actually calculates factorial of n and return these value long. So, I initialize f to 1 which represent factorial of given number. The factorial is nothing but multiplication of 1 to n if we want to find factorial of n. So, I repeat this loop from 1 to n, and inside these I write down f is equal to f into I. So, initially f is 1. So, first it is multiplied by 1, then 2, then 3, then 4 and up to n, and whatever value we get inside f is a factorial of n, and it return to the calling function. So, this is how this long factorial works. The next is a max method which takes two argument m1 and m2, and we want to return maximum of these two value. So, I write down if m1 is greater than m2, it means m1 is maximum. So, I return m1. Now, the next condition to be tested is whether m2 is greater than m1. So, I write down else if m2 is greater than m1, it means m2 is maximum. So, I have to return m2, and if both the conditions are failed, it means both are equal. So, I return 0. So, whenever I get 0, it means both numbers are equal and none of them is maximum. So, this is how this double works. The next method is takes integer array as an argument and returns sum of all integer elements. So, I initialize sum to 0. Now, remember, whenever you want to store multiplication inside variable, you have to initialize to 1, and whenever you want to sum data in variable, you have to initialize it to 0. Now, we know that array index always starts from 0 and number of element is represented by a dot length. So, I write down I is equal to 0, I less than a dot length, and then every time I is incremented by 1. Now, what I want to do is I want to add all the element of array inside S, which is represented by a of I. So, I write down S is equal to S plus a of I. That means, every time element is added to S 1 by 1. First element is added first, then second, then third, and so on, and finally, we get sum of all element inside S and we return S. So, this method takes array as a argument and returns sum of all element to the calling function. Now, next method demonstrates that we want to add two time, which is represented by T1 and T2. Now, before we understand these method, we first want to discuss time class. So, here for sake of simplicity, we have eliminated second, but you can also consider second for calculation, that is left as an exercise. Here I take only two variable which represent hours and minutes. So, it has a two instance variable h and m which represent hours and minute. This is our default constructor which initialize both hour and minute to 0, and then we have one parameterized constructor which initialize hour and minutes to the value specified. So, here h represent hour, represent minutes. So, h is initialized with h and m is initialized with and these show function just display our time in hour colon minute format. So, these show just display this value of h and m which represent actually hour and minute. So, I hope this time class is clear for you. Now, I want to add two time. So, here T1 has a two component h and m. H represent hour of T1 and m represent minutes of T1. Similarly, we have T2 dot h and T2 dot m which represent hour and minutes of T2 respectively. Now, assume that we have T1 is initialized to 250 and T2 is initialized to 330. Now, I want to add these two time. So, answer may be 620, that you can calculate yourself, because 50 plus 30 results in 80, but 80 minute is a 1 hour and 20 minutes. So, 2 plus 3 5 plus 1 hour and 20 minutes. So, we can say 6 hour and 20 minutes. Now, we have these two time specified by T1 and T2. Now, we want to add these two time and return that time. So, our return type is also object. So, here I declare one time T3 to actually sum up these two time. So, I use default constructor. So, T3 is initially 0 0, that means hour of T3 is also 0 and minute is also 0. Now, what I do is first I want to add two hours. So, what will happen to T3? T1 hour is a 2 and T2 hour is 3. So, we have 5 colon 0 0 inside T3, because we have not yet touched minutes. The next task is to add minutes. So, I add minutes of T1 and T2 in minutes of T3. Hour is already stored. So, it is initialized to 5, but now T3 becomes 5 hours and 80 minutes, but we do not require answer in this format. we require answer only in format which is represented by hour and minute within 60. So, what I do is I write down T3 dot H is equal to whatever value of T3 dot H is plus T3 dot minute divided by 60. So, 80 divided by 60 is a 1 point something, but division of two integer always result in integer. So, we get 1. So, now T3 becomes 680. Why? Because 1 hour is added by this statement T3 dot m divided by 60. But here now I want to subtract 60 from these 80. So, how to do that? So, I write down T3 dot m is equal to T3 dot m modulo 60. That means, above 60 we have to take, not entire 80. So, 80 modulo 60 is a 20. If I divide 80 by 60, I will get remainder 20. So, this is how we get final answer, and once we have final answer, we return it to the calling method. So, this is how all these method works. Now, we want to test this method inside our test class. So, we go to test class. Now, I comment out these person class and uncomment these. So, here we want to find sum of these elements. So, array is initialized to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, sum is a 15. We have two double type variable 30 and 40, and we want to find out maximum, which is 40. We have two time which represent 250 and 330, and we want to find time T3, which is a sum of these two time. So, here first we have to create instance of method demo class, then we can call method of this class. So, I create one object m of type method demo and create its instance by calling new and method demo. The next I write down m dot greetings. So, remember this is our argument hello world. So, m dot greeting will print hello world. The next I want to print factorial of 5 is. So, I write down factorial of 5 is, and then I call m dot factorial with argument as a 5. So, it will return 120, which is display here. So, it will print factorial of 5 is 120. Then we have already declared two double variable. So, we write down maximum of 30 and 40 is, which is value of n1 and n2, and these max method returns maximum of these two value, which we initialize to 30 and 40. So, maximum of 30 and 40 is 40 will be display. The next we want to display array of these sum. So, we write down sum of array is, and then we call sum method and provide array A as a argument. So, it will add 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, which is 15. So, it will print sum of array is 15. The next is to call add method. So, I write down T3 is equal to m dot add, and what we want to add is T1 and T2. So, it will add T1 and T2, and whatever result we get is stored inside T3, and finally, to actually display T3 we call its show method, which displays time in hour colon minute format. So, we want to run this. So, we save this file and run this file by right clicking on it. So, I run this file. Now, greeting will print hello world, factorial of 5 will be find out by factorial method of method demo class, and it returns 120. Maximum of 30 and 40 is found by max method, which takes n1 and n2 as a argument and returns maximum of 2, and we get sum of array is 15, and this is a answer of T1 plus T2 which is a 620, and how it comes we already discussed. So, in today's session we have discussed about two important aspects of Java programming. One is method, another is class. So, we have learned how to define class, how to define method, how to create object, and we have also learned about object reference variable, and finally, we also learn constructor and its uses. I hope you enjoy this session. Thank you and happy learning.
स्वाध्याय टीवी